Welcome to the BassandBigG.com Guntersville Grassroots Podcast. Today is April the 18th, 2022. My name is Pat Kennemer. I'm your host. I have my famous, soon-to-be famous host, co-host, Trey Swindle, sitting over here from me. Trey's got a tan. I think he had to go to Virginia to get it because it's too dadgum cold here to get to fishing shorts except on Tuesdays.
That's right.
And thankfully, the water has warmed up a little.
Yep.
The air temperature warmed up 2 days last week, then got cold or cooler.
Yeah.
Rained some more. But most importantly, they put some water in the pond.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
I noticed that when I drove over it.
There is, it wasn't full, but it was a hell of a lot higher than it was some time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it finally had some water in it. So, and do you know what happens when they raise the water?
What is it?
All the grass comes off the bank.
Yep.
Plenty of floating grass.
Everywhere.
Plenty of floating grass. It was real special in a handful of places Saturday.
Oh, I bet.
Is there any floating grass in Virginia?
Thank God there ain't.
Any grass in Virginia?
Not really. Lily pads.
Lily pads. Today we have the winners of the Freedom Marine tournament this past Saturday, Mr. Jeff Kirby and Mark Justice. Mark Justice, who I personally do not know, also won the Home Builders tournament a week or so ago. So apparently he's doing something right. I don't know how much information they're going to share with us because of the casting and catching coming up this weekend. But I saw Jeff eating dinner or whatever you want to call it, shrimp and crawfish at Freedom's tournament Saturday afternoon, and said, "Hey man, you want to come talk with me and Trey?" He goes, "Sure." So we're going to call him in here in just a little bit. First, we'll run through some stuff that's just happened the last couple of weeks since we were recording last. They had a 150 or 60 boat high school tournament out of Goose Pond. Bodie Smith and Colby Clark won with 20.36. Honeycomb took a 19. About everything that weekend took 20.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the going thing. I mean, it's 20, 21. Doesn't matter if it's a 15 boat Wildcat or a 150 boat, whatever.
Yep.
So, this past weekend we had the Freedom Marine tournament. Ken, as usual, they do a great job. You know, there's all kinds of mad money they give away in that thing.
Yep.
And you know what? I didn't catch that many fish, and we were 64th and would have loved to have been 65th. You know who was 65th? Willie and Gil.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or, no, it wasn't Gil. It was Willie and somebody. I don't think Gil. I don't remember. But Willie was for sure because he got $500 out of it. So, and he walked up to me and says, "Well, I don't think I'm going to win like Trey said I was." Because you picked him. You know,
That's right.
you picked him. So they had about 150 boats in that. And, man, you know, I didn't think the fishing was all that good, but apparently it was.
Yep.
You know, there was – I'm looking at it, 5 21-pound bags. I mean, you know, the difference between first and fifth was, what, 0.6?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know.
I think G told me he had over 20 and he finished.
He was sixth place.
Yeah, I don't see him in the top five. So.
Yeah, he was sixth place. It was him and Jacobson. Yeah,
Carl Jacobson.
Carl Jacobson. Yeah, the Australia dude.
That's right.
He's fun to listen to talk.
That's right.
I was sitting there thinking about that after the fact, and I'm like, well, you got Alabama slang or Alabama accent and Australian accent. I wonder how many times they went, huh?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I'm sure a lot.
So, but yeah, I mean, even 20th place, 1764, and these numbers kind of go along with what you were saying earlier. There's a lot of 3-pounders swimming around out there.
Yep.
So,
yep. That solid 3 to 3.5, 3 3/4. You can tell. I mean, that's not, you know, strong top weights, but on down the line.
But it's April.
That's strong.
You know, it's April, and give me your opinion on this. But in my opinion, a lot of the big girls, the big fish, a lot of them have probably already been up there and done their thing.
Yeah.
And you know, they get funky for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
After they spawn. I'm not sure that we're not kind of in one of those. I mean, it was a full moon. Saturday was the full moon in April, and we all know what that means on Guntersville.
Yep.
There was fish spawning.
Yep.
It was cloudy. That probably held the weights down a little bit. I know several guys that were sight fishing that said they had about a 30-minute window that the sun came out, that they really caught them pretty good because they were looking for them.
Yeah.
You know, and but then when it got cloudy, they had to do like the rest of us that don't particularly sight fish and just blind cast around.
Yep.
So, but, you know, some folks go out and find the right 5 on bed, if you can get them to bite.
Yep.
I mean, that's not my thing. I asked you off there. I was going to talk to you a little bit more about that. How much bed fishing experience do you have?
Not a lot. I fish for them a lot on Smith, like spots on bed, but spots on bed are like totally different than largemouth. Like at Smith, you can just fish them seaballs and you can't technically see them, but you can just kind of cast around and know they're spawning, but they just bite.
They're aggressive.
Yeah, they're aggressive. Like largemouth, if they don't want to bite, you can sit there for 4 hours and never catch them. I just can't. Mentally, I can't stay in it that long, and then once I get committed, I'm like going to prove to it I can catch it, and then by that time it's 2 o'clock, and I ain't even got one in the box. So
yeah, about the only thing I ever really like to sight fish for is shell crackers.
Yeah,
and if you haven't done that, you're missing out.
Yeah,
so it won't be long either. A couple of weeks, it's coming. So we tease you, me and whoever we've talked about. Oh, he's 22. You got a fair amount of experience for a 22-year-old. But I'm amazed at the young guys, even some of these high school kids. That technology has closed a gap that it took somebody like me years to learn where to run, where the creek bends, where the stuff. And now you can sit down and be taught how to look at a map, and you go, oh, hey, look, there's a point and it comes off in 20 foot of water right here. Let's throw a crankbait on it.
Yep.
It took somebody like me 20 years to learn that, and it took y'all a year. And then we've got, you're in a position right now where you're able to fish a lot. So, you get some experience. Well, how many days have you fished this year?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
It'd probably be better to say how many days have I not fished this year.
Right. You've fished, it's April, and you've fished more days in the last 2 months than I will the entire fishing season.
I probably fish 5 days a week.
Some part, whether it's a few hours or the whole day. Yeah. So, and I fish 5, well, if you count days, I mean, I'll go 5 or 6 times a month, maybe, and the way the weather's been lately, it's not even that. So, because there was one weekend before last, the weather, I went, I'm just not feeling 30-mile-an-hour winds and cold again. And you were in Virginia. You left.
Well, I was in Virginia, and one day it was 74 there, and I called my mom, and she said it was 46 here.
Yeah.
And it was 76 there. I was in shorts and a T-shirt, and it was cold and raining here.
It's been cold and raining here a lot. It's getting better. This weekend's weather looks really good. Mm-hmm. You've got ABT coming up on Weiss.
I'm excited for that one.
Can Kay Donaldson's magical weather-changing powers make it be not warm? The weatherman says it's going to be warm.
Oh, Lord, I don't know. All I know is I'm going to catch them there.
You're going to catch them? You feel good about it?
I do. Me and Daniel did really good there last year, and we, I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a good one.
Do you really?
We finished, I think, top 10 last year, or right close. It might have been 12th. It was somewhere around there last year, but I don't know. I love that lake. I just fish as like I like to fish. I've always done good there. So
shallow and fast.
Yep. And Daniel went Saturday, and he was like, dude, I fished one stretch of ours, and I caught a 4 and a 3 and a 2, and then I fished one of our offshore places and caught 2 right off the bat. And I'm like, well, then I don't even need to go practice.
That's crazy, because another buddy of mine told me he went down there Saturday and they didn't get a bite.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Everybody, I've already talked to a couple people, and they're like, oh, Weiss is going to be tough. I'm like, good deal.
Yeah,
I hope it is for y'all, because
yeah.
Daniel went by himself, and he said it was not that bad.
Not that bad. So, talking about that 20-pound weight, we had a Fishers of Men that Kent and Emily Ware won. And Kent's the guy that won the Toyota Series back in February. We talked to him on here.
Yep.
So one of those Fishers of Men guys had chimed in and talked about that they were glad he went and picked on somebody other than the Fishers of Men trail during that too. Apparently, he fishes a lot. And Emily's either going to be his wife or his daughter. That's what he told us he fished with. So even today, they had the Money Mondays today. It took 20 pounds. It was daylight till 2 o'clock on a Monday. Of course, Monday fish, Trey knows about Monday fish.
That's right. They bite.
So even though it was cold, it's cold outside today.
Yeah.
So water temps this weekend, anywhere 64, 68. Mm-hmm. Saw some bedding fish, saw some post-spawn fish, saw some pre-spawn fish.
It's getting close to the time of the year I like when they all get post-spawn.
I'm with you. I'm with
feeding
you.
Back up.
I'm with you. I think by this weekend, if not this weekend, the next weekend, if the weather actually does what they say it's going to do and goes 80 degrees a couple days and not 40 at night. That's going to be 30 something a night, by the way. I think we're going to have a little shad spawn going on here shortly.
That's right. I'll be happy to just catch something over £1.25 after where I just come from.
You had a little problem with that up there, didn't you?
Had a big problem out of it. When you jerk them out of a cypress tree and they come flying by your head, they ain't the ones you want to block. I mean, the first bite of the day I had on the first day, I drove 77 miles one way to my starting spot. And the first cypress tree I flipped, I jerked one completely out of the water and 4 feet all the way past me.
A keeper?
Yeah, it was a keeper, 12-incher.
Oh.
I fished all day. I probably caught 50 flipping cypress trees. I felt like I was channeling my inner Greg Hackney, just not the
quality.
Not the size.
You were flipping bluegill.
Yeah. And weighed 9 pounds.
You probably had a swim bait in your boat as big as some of the fish.
I did. Yep.
And,
I drove 77 miles one way, had to put gas in the boat again. Well, I filled it up.
During the tournament?
Yep. Took $126, and then I blasted off, run 77 miles, and put 15 gallons in it at the marina, then drove back to the weigh-in, fished back all the way back to the weigh-in, and then when I filled up at the end of the day, it still took 38 gallons of gas.
That was day one.
Day one.
Did you run that far again day two?
I did. Uncle G said, "You gonna run that far again?" I said, "Yep." He said, "You didn't catch them down there?" I said, "I don't care. I'm gonna show them I can do it 2 days in a row."
And you did.
And I did. 7 pounds the second day. I just showed him I could catch them again if I wanted to.
Did your co-anglers catch any?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about my day two co-angler.
I don't know if you saw it. I pulled up the Bassmaster website, and there you were. But your co-angler was putting a fish in a live well. But I saw your boat, and it said Trey Swindle, something cypress trees. So I screenshotted it and emailed it to you and said, "Hey, you made Bassmaster.com." For the wrong reason, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, I looked at that and I'm like, well, this co-angler looked like a 2 to 3 pounder. And I'm like, well, maybe Trey's got some better ones.
Yeah, it was a 3 1/4. My co-angler the second day was he was a good guy. He was aggressive, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
I was catching all mine like flipping cypress trees, and they were starting to spawn. So I'd flip in there and I'd catch one, literally one cypress tree, and I'd put him in the box. And I'd flip back in there and catch another one. And I'm just not gonna say anything, but he was a little bit aggressive.
Yeah. About where he was putting his bait.
About where he was putting his bait and when he was putting his bait there and all that. But he was a good guy. He did good. He caught 11 something the first day with 3 with some guy, and then he caught almost 9 with me in the back of my boat.
3 fish.
And 3 fish.
So he had 3 bigger than your 5.
Than my 5. Yep.
Ouch.
So the best thing I had happen all week was my girlfriend drove 7 hours to watch me weigh in 7 pounds. Talk about a disappointment. Let your girlfriend or your wife drive that far and you bring up 7 pounds. But
yeah. Well, you used the word girlfriend on the air. I'm impressed because I'd kind of been teasing you about that a little bit. And the other day he said, well, it's Facebook official. So I was like, well, he's actually going to talk about her now.
It's official now.
I was trying not to press that too much. I don't want to overstep my bounds, but
it's official now.
But
if she drove 7 hours, I feel like it's official.
I'm going to have to say it's official. The girl must actually like you.
I don't know why.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. We could probably start a different podcast about that. But she likes to fish, right?
Yeah, she does.
She does. And I guess when you were up at, was it Cherokee? Mm-hmm. She lived in that area, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he's got a girlfriend that's got a little distance. That's not a bad deal.
Yeah. 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours.
Too bad.
Yeah, until you don't have anywhere to be, and she's like, "Hey, you gonna drive up here?" Of course, she can go fish Cherokee.
That's right.
She'll go fishing.
I enjoyed Cherokee. That's a good thing. She'll go fishing with me, so I don't just drive up there to go shopping or something.
Well, right. I'd been hearing these stories about, I carried this girl fishing down here on Guntersville, and I kept, really? Yeah. So now it's a girlfriend because a couple months ago when Trey and I started talking about this, there was no girlfriend.
No.
So
single. Now I'm not.
He's taken.
Off the market.
Off the market for keep him out of trouble.
That's right.
Keep him out of trouble. She's going to be checking in, make sure he's behaving when he's traveling to all these tournaments. So, back on to Guntersville, water looked pretty good. The 2-foot clarity even in places. I mean, it looked good. It looked kind of normal, except, floating grass is normal now. So we're all a bunch of floating grass lovers sitting here listening to this. That's just right. What we are. We love Guntersville, and the floating grass is part of it now.
That's right.
People have been whacking the crappie.
Really?
Yes, according to the Facebook and all the places, and even GTO and some of them. I mean, some big crappie. Buddy of mine was in town a couple weeks ago. And they're trollers, and there's only a handful of places you can even do that with floating grass anymore. But they caught them real good. Yeah. I'd say there's another week or so of that. They come in and do their thing. Right now, I think everything's spawning.
Yeah.
I was fishing Saturday, and then there was some people in the back of a pocket, 2 little kids on a dock, and the daddy was coaching them, and they kept hooping and hollering. They were catching 2-inch bluegill. But if that's starting, it's close. That water where I was at, 68 degrees. So I mean, it won't be long. It won't be long. So
how many tags we have caught while it's gone?
You've been gone so much, I can't keep up with that. I tell you, in the last 2 weeks, I think we've had 5. Wayne Christopher, who's a Guntersville local, Kevin Stubblefield, who is a Guntersville local and legend in my opinion. He doesn't fish a whole lot anymore. James Postel, who I believe works at Waterfront. Bobby Atchley caught one. Him and his partner caught one during Honeycomb on Saturday. And then a gentleman from Illinois that apparently has a place somewhere down here that he comes and fishes caught one Saturday. So that's 5 in the last 2 weeks. Truck and boat still out there. There's still over 2 months left. All right. Trey's registered. He'll be back to Guntersville Hill soon.
Coming in May. Y'all
in
just
May.
wait.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they like to wait for it to warm up a little bit. Yep. But so there's still a lot of time to register. You can go to Stevenson Gun and Supply, Goose Pond when they're open, which I think is Wednesday through Sunday. Victory Sportsman in Scottsboro, Waterfront, Freedom Marine, GTO, and the Tackle Trap. All those places can get you signed up, or you can sign up at basscashbash.com and then pick up your T-shirt at one of those places if you buy the bonus T-shirt. But don't be that guy. We've had several of that guys. We had that guy Sunday before last. Now, I'm not going to name his name, but I did put his picture on the internet with a big thing on it that said that guy. He sent it to me, and he goes, man, because he might help run one of the local high school fishing teams, and he might have been harping about everybody about signing up for it, and he might have never signed up himself, and then he caught one during one of their little Sunday deals, and sent me a picture of it and goes, man, I can't believe it. He said, I've harped at all these guys about it. And he said, no, I just didn't do it. And I said, that's what you rookie mistake. To quote my friend over here, that's rookie right. Mistake. Yep. Rookie mistake. Well, let me see if we can get the winners on from the Freedom Marine Tournament to talk to us for a few minutes, and we'll see what we can get out of them. We've got Jeff Kirby and Mark Justice on here with us today. They won the Freedom Marine Tournament this past Saturday with $21.95. They topped 150 boats roughly. So, guys, give us just a little breakdown about your day.
Well, we stopped at one spot because running upriver, we sort of run into quite a bit of rain, and we sort of stopped short and fished a spot for a while and moved around quite a bit, and then we went into the spot that paid off for us.
Yeah. So you did use the words upriver there. So that's one little clue. So I thankfully missed that rain.
Much way up there.
Yeah, right. All the way up to like
Tennessee line.
Tennessee line.
Up there.
Up that way.
Fishing them current breaks, throwing a shaky head and stuff.
Right. So, did y'all catch a bunch of fish that day?
We caught probably, I would say, 15 to 20, probably 12, 13 keepers.
Yeah, well, not a bad day, but not a bad day. Now, were you finding spawning fish, or were you pre-spawn, post-spawn? Kind of what kind of tell us this? What are you thinking you're seeing out of those?
I think there's all 3 stages right now myself.
Yeah,
I think the ones that went on early are already off, and I think there's some that's up searching, and I think that there's some that's on bed right now. So I think in the right spot you could, find a little bit of everything.
Right. Did you have plenty of floating grass where you were at?
Where on Guntersville is there not floating?
Well, according to Trey, you can't catch a fish anywhere unless there is floating grass. He says if you pull up and there is no floating grass, you might as well go somewhere else.
Yep. I've seen them schooling in floating grass before.
Yeah.
It's miserable.
It's miserable.
I pulled out a
I caught
frog.
them on a frog in floating grass.
That's what I did. I pulled out a frog. I was like, I'm not letting these fish bust right here and me not throw something in there. So I throw a frog in there.
Did you catch one of them?
I did catch one of them.
Yeah. So y'all caught, a dozen keepers or so. Ended up with, did y'all have a big fish or were they all about the same size?
We have one that was, I would say probably around 6, and then the rest of them look like twins.
Yeah, right. That's what a lot of people were saying. I think the lake as a whole, the population of 3 to 4 pounders is pretty good this year. It's kind of been coming up, over the last few years. And that's what I keep hearing from folks. But it takes that big bite. Did y'all think you were going to win with 21, 22 pounds?
No.
Yeah.
We thought we'd get a check.
Oh, sure.
I think we had enough. Yeah.
So I know, Mark, you won the Home Builders tournament the Friday before that, which was a miserable day that I'm glad I was not part of. But it was cold and windy, and I'm glad I was sitting.
A little breezy out there with winds blowing 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, I was sitting in here typing appraisals in my office going, man, I'm glad I'm not fishing in that. And so there was a time that I couldn't have missed it, but I'm gotten old and I just don't care anymore. So were y'all dragging stuff, fishing, moving baits, just whatever you want to tell us?
When the home builders or
We'll take a little bit of both. Whatever you want to do. Did it change between one to the other? Yeah.
Well, I would say it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of moving baits and a little bit of soft plastics. I don't know what Jeff would say.
I'm agreeing.
You're agreeing. You're not gonna. Yeah. So, again, we're not going to ask you if you caught them on a Carolina rigged horny toad, but it's more about if somebody's out here going fishing tomorrow, you tell them to go to 20 foot of water, 10 foot of water, 3 foot of water, spawning pockets. What do y'all think?
I tell them to go, 10 feet or less.
10 feet or less. Yeah. Were y'all catching most of your fish, main lake type stuff, not way up in creeks and stuff like that?
Right. Yeah. Most of them main lakes.
Main lake. Yeah. So the too much wind can be a factor on some of that, can it?
Yes.
And Saturday was really the opposite of what I thought it was going to be. At 2:00 in the morning, I got woken up by lightning bolts. It was rocking, and I never went back to sleep. And I was sitting there going, man, this is not going to be fun. The wind, you could hear the wind howl. It turned out slick and cloudy. The sun shined for 30 minutes. Did the wind or did the sun, when it got sunny on y'all, did it help?
I think so. I think it helped. It started out kind of slow for us, honestly. We, first, I don't know, hour and a half, I don't even know if we had a fish.
Yeah, that's the same way I was. I didn't catch fish till like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Maybe, 6 inches.
I think it helped when the sun came out a little bit.
It just didn't stay out long, did it?
It did not.
It did not. So, did y'all have a crowd of boats around you, or were you kind of off to yourself?
We had a crowd of boats around us.
It's Guntersville.
You go now in Guntersville where you don't have a crowd of boats, right?
Well, you could go the places that I went, which apparently don't have a whole lot of fish, and there's not a crowd of boats. So, do you? No. I kept thinking, I'm apparently doing something wrong because I saw like 4 boats. Now, second place, which was Ryan Salzman and Matt Lee, they did pull up on a spot right after I left it because I went from one end of a hump to another, and then of course Salzman's got true bass on the side of his boat, and there's Salzy, and of course they caught him, I didn't. So I don't know if they caught him there, but I saw him once. So
they might have been making a victory lap around you, just telling
he
you.
He may have. He may have. So what info do y'all have that what will you tell us about how you caught them? That way I don't have to put you in a position where you don't want to answer anything. I know there's not a lot of secrets on Guntersville, but somebody tell me something.
Soft plastics in less than 12 foot of water.
Okay, well, that narrows it down to most of the lake.
Deepest part of this place is like 13 feet.
Yeah, right. So
I can even say less than 10, less than 10.
Less than 10. Well, and look, it's that time of year. You can pull up in 6 inches of water and catch one, and then back out behind you to 10 foot of water and catch another one.
I was about to say, you can just fish your strengths this time of the year. There's fish pre-spawn, post-spawn, spawning, whatever you want to do. You can just about catch fish.
Yeah. Did you have anybody pull up on you and just act rude like they do on Guntersville sometimes?
Oh my gosh, dude!
We definitely did.
Did you happen to record them?
No, but I mean, it's gotten awful. I mean, there was a boat that came in there on us that, I mean, I never would have, I mean, I just wouldn't do it. I mean, it was all we could do not to react a little differently than we did. But I mean, I don't understand it, man. People, they just don't care anymore, it seems like.
Oh, I agree.
I was almost speechless. I mean, I was mad and I was shocked all at the same time, because this guy come within, I could have, with my 7.6 rod, I could have reached out and touched his boat.
Was he running or fishing?
No, he was trolling. He trolled that close to us.
Oh, did you offer him a snack?
You should have said, "Sir, am I in your way? Do I need to move for you?"
What kind of boat was that? We like to point these people out and let them realize that.
Was it a Triton, Jeff?
It was a white Triton. With, I think it had blue Triton stripes on it, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
Like a dark blue.
And here's the real question: did you catch fish after he trolled over top of them?
We did catch one fish.
You did?
One fish right there.
One fish, yeah. So you didn't catch all your fish in one spot. You kind of had to move around.
We did have to move around.
That seems to be you used to, like Mark, you were talking about 10 years ago, you used to be able to find an area and put your trolling motor down and just fish there. And
That's right.
Personally, for me, I hadn't found that very often. No.
I do think that. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm agreeing with you. It's hard to find a spot where you can just sit there and catch enough fish to win a tournament.
I'm assuming y'all were fishing eelgrass, though, right? Because there's not much left other than. Yeah. And eelgrass is somewhere under 12 foot of water with soft plastic. So right, I've got a feeling I should have had y'all on after the casting and catching this weekend. I think I could have got a little more information out of him, but because Jeff sat down in front of me when we were eating shrimp at the weigh-in, and I said, "Look, man," I said, "Trey and I have been doing this thing. You want to come on and talk with us?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll do that." And I said, "Well, be sure and ask your partner. I don't want to leave anybody out. I mean, it was a team event, so." Now, Mark, are you fishing this weekend too?
I am.
You are with Jeff or with somebody else?
With somebody else.
How y'all gonna work that out?
Well, we've already discussed it.
You're gonna be sitting right beside each other like that.
Hey, you might as well. If you don't, somebody else will, right?
Well, I mean, I think we can work together to try to block other people out.
But, yeah.
And I really feel bad about it because I think me and Mark fish really well together. But since it is casting and catching and it's with the kids and stuff, I actually signed up. My son is on Buckhorn High School fishing team, and he's actually in 12th place for Angler of the Year, and he likes fishing tournaments with me. So
sure.
I said, well, I said, got one coming up, and I actually signed me and him up for this almost 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, right. If I would have known what I know now, then, probably might do stuff a little bit differently. But, I enjoy fishing with my son. I enjoy fishing with Mark. It's just have to,
Now, Jeff,
sort of.
You got
make it all work out.
How many checks did you get in the Big Bass Splash? I saw your name in there a bunch.
4.
4 yourself. 4. Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Well, since that's been like a month and things have changed, how'd you catch those fish?
Those fish are on chatterbait.
They were on chatterbait. Yeah. But, that was the ticket that weekend. My partner had a 7-pounder the last day on a chatterbait in like no water, you know, and then casting around the dark spots that you could see where the clumps of eelgrass were. So
yeah, and I tell you what, I was throwing it in some such shallow water back then that, I mean, you better start cranking before it hit the water.
Yeah, well,
because if not, you couldn't rip it hard enough to get the grass off of it.
Well, and you know, the water's probably 1.5 foot higher now than it was then.
Yeah.
I mean, they dropped it a lot during that. So
and that changes everything. I think that affects the fish as far as the water fluctuation. I think it changes them just about as much as anything else does. Cold fronts and everything else is when they drastically drop and raise that water, it really makes them react to it.
I hope, with it being mid-April plus now, that they kind of slow that down. Normally, somewhere about right now, they stop dropping it as much. Assuming Trey will quit making all these floods come in here like he has been. So,
Lord, if it's me, I'll get out of here. I'm tired of it myself. I'll help y'all out. I'll just leave.
You did leave,
I left for 2 weeks. And
he came back and it got cold.
Worse. Yeah,
he did. He came back. So,
did he take the eelgrass with him?
I put some in the boat and hauled it to Virginia. They probably won't like it, but
nah, I hate that you just recorded that. If it shows up down there, they're going to come arrest you. You know, if you're going to Weiss Lake now, 20-something years ago when I went over there, they had signs up that said, make sure your trailers could not have any vegetation on them. I mean, like they didn't want the hydrilla and the milfoil and stuff from Guntersville and places like you. They did not want your trailer backing in the water with grass on it. So don't. Well, guys, we know you went upriver. We know you caught them in less than 12 foot of water mostly on soft plastics. Do you think they'll hold up for this coming weekend?
It's a good question. I mean, it seems like, they'll be there today and gone tomorrow. So
right. Did you catch some of those fish in the same areas you caught them during the home builder?
Yes.
You did. Yeah. And yeah, this time of year, you're right. They move, they change every day. You know, what was 4-pounders could be 1.5-pounders the next time you go there.
That's right.
But one thing's for sure, you're going to have some company and there's going to be plenty of floating grass.
That's right. Always.
Well, gentlemen, I hope that y'all do well this weekend. I'm going to be there. Maybe I can figure out how to catch one. It's been a minute. I appreciate y'all taking a few minutes to come on and talk with Trey and I. If you win, I'm going to get you back on and you're going to spill a little more information, aren't you, right? Tell a little bit more. Again, I'm never going to ask you for your spot. People that listen kind of want to know, what do I need to be doing? You know, do I need to be throwing a chatterbait? Do I need to be throwing a dinger? Do I need to be throwing a swim bait? That's what we're looking for. People have to find their own spots. They're all going to go ride around and watch for these wrap boats and your boat just pull up on you and ask you. So,
yeah.
But congratulations on the win. There was a lot of big names in that. I mean, some of the other top. I mean, Gerald Swindle, Matt Lee, Salzman, quite a few pros fished it.
Yes. Definitely some great fishermen out there, and I feel very blessed that we did pull out the win because it was definitely some tough competition out there.
Oh yeah, and we all thought 23-24 was going to win it, and then there ended up being 5 21-pound bags. I mean, there was less than about a half pound difference between first and fifth. So,
yeah, if anybody's looking for me out there, I'm in a 16-foot Red Ranger. So,
16-foot Red Ranger. He's going to be the tall guy in a 16-foot Red Ranger. So, with an old 50 Evinrude on it. So.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. So
just look for me. I'll be out there.
You'll be out there. So, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk with us. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to talk to you again soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks. Have a good one. Bye. we appreciate those guys taking a few minutes to come on. We didn't get much info out of them. They're kind of tight-lipped. Jeff told me, he said, man, I don't want to talk too much because we got that thing coming up. He said, but I'll come on there and talk about it a little bit. So we had to drag stuff out of them. So, maybe if they do good this weekend, we might have to hit them up one more time and say, and I'm going to let Trey get a hold of them next time. I'm just going to sit back and make Trey ask the question. So, but regardless, they took time out of their day to come on and talk to us for a minute, and hopefully you guys get a little something out of it, 12 foot of water or less with soft plastics.
That's right.
What I know from talking to, I guess it was Janice who I talked to today. I sent a text, said, hey, what's the hot baits? And it's changed a little. It's soft plastics. But the one thing that got added in there is swim baits. Mm-hmm. Ryan Salzman and Matt Lee, BAS is he? No, is he?
He's MLF.
He's MLF, yeah, about now. But anyway, they fished together, got second in the Freedom Marine tournament, and the top military position because Ryan's had some military service. But Ryan said, "Hey, we caught him on most all of them on swim baits, half ounce head, his true bass swim baits, which I personally really like. I think they're good baits. Running secondary points, 4 to 8 foot of water, just reeling it over the grass. And I actually do believe that. I saw him once fish something that I just fished. He probably caught him and I didn't. But then the guys that got third, who I also know, said they caught theirs on Scottsboro tackle swim baits. So, and I do believe him. They're good guys. They're Scottsboro locals, and they got top first responders. So, because they're both firemen. So, that swim bait thing's going to get better here real soon. We're going to have a shad spawn.
Yep.
We're going to have a bluegill spawn. And as Tim Chandler said when he was on last week, you'll probably be able to catch them on anything you want. If you can't catch a fish in May, you need to find a new hobby.
That's right.
So sometimes I think I need to find a new hobby. I'm not going to lie to you. But, the bluegill bite on Guntersville can be stellar.
Yep.
Do you ever get out and do any of that?
A little bit here and there.
Yeah. You're still too mad at a green fish.
Right.
You'll get older one day and be like, oh, let's go. And I like carrying my kid now. But the shell cracker bite is the most fun part to me. They get up where you're looking at them, mm-hmm. And we were talking about this earlier. Neither one of us are much sight fishermen for bass. I suck at it.
Yeah, I did too.
And if you ever make the pros, you're going to have to get good at it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to. I mean, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm going to try. I always try to get out there but really though, Guntersville's not a great lake to practice on sight fishing because it's just not. It's 2 feet, 100 yards off the bank, so they could spawn anywhere from 100 yards off the bank. Like, you just can't really go down the bank and see a lot. I got a little lake beside the house that's real clear, and you can see them. I need to get over there more, honestly, and just practice doing it.
Doing it that way.
But like at Guntersville, you just can't run down the bank and find some to practice and try to catch, so it's kind of hard the way this lake's laid out. Right.
No, I agree. I just and the color changes. I mean, there's some places, and the sun doesn't shine here anymore. So
and there's so many shell bars out here. I don't know what you think, but I'm a firm believer that some of them real big ones spawn on them 4 to 5, 6.
Oh, 100%.
6 foot shell bars, and you never see them.
No, 100%. And Tim Chandler actually alluded to that last time. He's talking about them spawning a little deeper. And I have seen them years ago when there was hydrilla spawning in 6 foot of water. And it was May. It was later in the year. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the hydrilla was 1.5 foot under the surface, and you're trolling through there, and you look down and you go, oh, look, there's a bed. And then 10 feet from it, there's a bluegill bed. Same thing. And I'm talking about in the middle, a half a mile from shore anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think they had to wait on that grass to get up to protect them from the current enough because it was main lake, river bar stuff. Mm-hmm. I call it river bank. Y'all young guys call them bars, and it's all the same stuff. It's where the dirt was before TVA built the dams.
That's right.
So and all the ridges. So, but no, I agree. Guntersville has enough diversity in it that they're not all normally doing the same thing at the same time. So if you don't want to go spawn fishing, you don't have to. I do believe there's normally about 1 or 2 weeks a year that if you want to win, you need to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think we just left one of those. Now, those guys, they told me off there, some of them were pre-spawn. They had some spitting up shad and stuff like that, but they were pretty shallow. Yeah. And, I mean, he didn't give me any real info, but they were 3 or 4 foot of water, which is where most everything was. Yeah. Chatterbait's still a hot bait. I don't think it's ever not. The eelgrass seems to have really made that
bite better. Yep.
The bait. I mean, you're a chatterbait guy, aren't
Yep.
you? And
I love it. To me, that's the most versatile bait in my boat. I throw it everywhere I go.
Yeah, from a foot of water to 10 foot of water.
Yep. Or to 20 feet.
Yeah, with some of them big ones.
Yep. I'll throw them anywhere. It doesn't matter. I'll fish it all times of the year. Just anywhere I go, I have one in my boat at all times.
So if you were going to Guntersville tomorrow, you hadn't been in a while, but again, we were talking earlier, you get to fish more than a lot of people do right now. Mm-hmm. If you were going to Guntersville tomorrow, 68, 69 degree water, tell me the 5 baits you'd have tied on.
I'd have a speed worm.
Yeah.
Like a Zoom Ultra Vibe speed worm or a net bait, big bopper.
What color?
Just something kind of natural. Green pumpkin, watermelon red, something like that.
Yeah.
I'd have a speed worm. I'd have a rattle trap still. I still like to throw it this time of the year. I'd have a chatterbait.
What color?
Probably just white.
Still shad,
Yep,
not
still
green.
something
Yeah.
shad,
Yeah.
Yep. What else would I have? I'd probably have something just in case I've seen one on bed, like a little creature bait, white creature bait you can see.
Right.
And that's about it. I don't even know if I'd have 5.
You didn't even get 5. I had like 8 rods out. But
yeah, I just, that's what I do. And I'd stay, if I was going tomorrow, I'd stay on the main river on some of them shallower bars where the grass grows up to about 3 feet. Like I said, I'm a firm believer a lot of them spawn out there and you can fish for, I mean, I've seen it before over the past years. You'll get on a river bar and you'll catch one that's pre-spawn, one that's post-spawn, and then you'll catch one with a bloody tail. Like all 3 different stages on one river bar. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would shoot for. And I would
versus going up in one of the pockets where there's 20 boats.
Yeah, because you get in one of the pockets, like I just talked about. There's not many places you can sight fish on this lake. So the couple places you can, it's loaded with boats.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you get in there and fight the crowd, and if there's 15 fish on bed and there's 20 boats in there, it's just.
Here's the one thing I noticed in one of those spawning places, because I pulled up I went last Tuesday afternoon. It's the only day I had been. I went Tuesday, and I had not got to go the weekend before because the weather was terrible, and I had family stuff. And then so I went that Tuesday, and when I went out, I pulled up in a couple towards some of the water had not really come up as much then as it had, but there is coontail everywhere in the middle of the eelgrass. So, but the coontail's that far, 6 inches under the surface, and when you did find a bed, you had to run smack dab on top of it before you could even see it. By the
time you get there,
yes. I mean, and I looked over at that, and I didn't go up in there, but I looked over at that area Saturday, and there was 8 boats in a 250-yard stretch. It was probably those guys, but I'm just too stubborn to go up in there and do it. Mm-hmm. But I did, that coontail, for whatever reason, is really in a lot of the shallows this year, stumps and around the stumps and, stuff like that. So so you named 4 baits. I mean, Trey's dialed in. He hadn't been in 2 weeks. I'm impressed. So
I keep it simple here. I'm either offshore throwing a big crankbait or a big worm, or I'm fishing kind of them river bars with a chatterbait and stuff like that, or I'm flipping grass in the fall. I don't frog. I despise a frog.
Well, frogging's not what it used to be either.
Yeah, it's not. When it used to be, nothing but basically just milfoil and hydrilla, it was good. But now it's just. You
probably, truthfully, just barely got to see any of that.
I barely got it. Yep.
Yeah.
I barely got it. The first year I really got into fishing, like on the Tennessee River, Guntersville, because I grew up mostly fishing the Coosa River. So the first year I really fished Guntersville was the last year I remember where you could go to Browns Creek and just drop the trolling motor and throw an oil monster in the hydrilla and just catch them all day long.
Oh, yeah.
You could just troll from hump to hump and catch them. And for those people listening, it's definitely not like that anymore.
No.
You might not even find grass on any of them humps now.
So, no. Matter of fact, some of the downriver humps don't have grass that had grass on them last year. Don't have much grass on them right now. That is odd to me.
Mm-hmm. That's what my buddy Daniel come up here and he said, dude, all these places we always fish, he said, there ain't no grass. He said, I don't know what.
Maybe some hydrilla will spring up there. I don't know, but
I hope so.
I guess the low water and the floods may have damaged it some. But some of that, Browns and Seabold and some of those places, some of those humps are bare. Which last year they were covered. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. This eelgrass, it's got it's different. It's just different every year. You don't know. So as we discussed, coming up this next weekend is the casting and catching tournament out of Goose Pond. It's a $110 entry. As of today, there was 140. I made it 141. I signed up before we started recording. Based on 250 boats, if they get 250, and a lot of people don't sign up to the day of stuff, and the weather's looking good, so that's going to help. Based on 250 boats, they're paying $15,000 first place. That's pretty good for $110.
Yeah,
and it is a great organization. They do a good job. They're gonna have the Bassmasters trailer up there for the weigh-in. The guy that does Bassmasters radio, whose name just totally left my head,
Abraham.
Yes,
Tom Abraham.
I believe he's actually going to be doing the MCing for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you know him?
Yeah, I know. I've been on his podcast before.
Oh, have you?
Yep,
Okay.
Bassmaster Radio.
Okay. I forgot he's famous. So
I don't know about all that.
You're good at talking.
That's right. I just like to hear me talk for some reason. I ain't figured out why yet.
So that's a good deal. Bass Cash Bash for that event. I did it last year. I didn't. I don't. But no, I kind of lined it up. If you catch a Bass Cash Bash tag of this year's Bass Cash Bash tag during that tournament, and you bring it across the stage, the tag. If you have to call the fish, pull the tag. We're adding a $500 bonus to it on top of the normal $1,000 or $1,500. So
that'd be a real good payday if you won.
Yeah,
and caught a tag and got the bonus.
Yeah, if you win, you're probably going to call one of my tags because most of my tag fish 2 or 3 pounds. If you win, you're probably going to be showing me a tag from that. So we'll poly you, make sure you caught it that day, and all those good things. But we had a new addition, and it's really going to be a good tournament. It was just kind of the timing of it that they added it. They came out with it 2 weeks ago. It's called the Salt Invitational, and it is a 501c3 charity fundraiser type organization, similar to Casting and Catching. Both of them have a true, legitimate legal cause that they're raising money for. Then that's going out of the state park. I hate that they scheduled it on top of the Casting and Catching. I don't think that benefits anybody, and they didn't know about it. There's a guy named Andrew Nordby. I don't know him. I don't know if you know who he is or not.
I know of him. Yeah.
I know of him, but I didn't know him, and somehow they didn't know about it. They just didn't look in the right places. But I have messaged back and forth with the guy that's running. It's a guy named Will Worthington. That's not the mortgage banker in Huntsville. There's a guy named Will Worthington out of Birmingham that is it's a ministry type deal. It's really a good event. They've got Dustin Cannell and Andrew Nordby and some other folks that are going to kind of be there hosting, and the timing of it, just kind of the timing. But they're going to have some boats. First place, $5,000 guaranteed. Second, $2,000, third, $1,000. So they've got some guaranteed money. He talked like they were going to do it every year. And, I talked to him about putting him in touch with the handful of folks that schedule the big tournaments, so nobody's on top of each other. It's just, you hate to see, particularly ones that are raising money for the right thing, for really good causes, be on top of each other. What's it going to take to win this weekend, Trey? Let's go with Casting and Catching.
I'd say
looking at last week. So.
Probably 22 pounds.
22.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right at 22. I would say, just because everybody that I've talked to that was out there said it wasn't hard to catch 15 pounds, but to get over 20 was hard.
Right.
I mean, you just catch a bunch of just 3 to 4 pounders.
Yeah.
So, and there wasn't very many big fish weighed in, I heard.
724 was the big fish this week. It was Scott and Taylor Ashley. Mm-hmm. I think Taylor Ashley may fish some pro stuff.
Yep, he fishes the or he used to.
Yeah, he may not anymore. Yeah, I recognize the name. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that's a 724. But it's April, and a lot of times starting now, you start seeing them big-headed skinny fish, and you don't see as many big ones until somewhere in June, and then everybody quits fishing because it's too hot.
Except for me.
Except for you. So, that's this coming weekend. Casting and Catching. Salt Invitational. You can go to castingandcatching.org to register for that one. Salt Invitational is salt, S-A-L-T, invitational.com to register there. Google should get you any of that. You've got Heartland and a Monday afternoon tournament on Sunday. All your Wildcats are going on. All that information is available on the bassandbiggg.com website. Weekend after next, there's a BFL, so they get 200 boats. And starting about that weekend is a good chance somebody finds one of those little post-spawn bites you're talking about, right. If it stays warm. And looking out a little further than that, you've got a 2-day ABA Top 150 solo the first week of May, and it could be really good by then, depending on current and stuff. Will you be in town for any of that?
Well, so I was about to say the BFL out of Goose Pond. I'm on plan to be fishing the final day at Ross Barnett that day, but if I'm not, I could possibly be running around in that. I've never fished a BFL before.
I fished 2 long time ago.
I never fished it, but if not, then May is my time of the year, May and June. So that ABA solo trail.
Will you be here for that?
Mm-hmm, I will. After Ross Barnett, I'll be home like May 1st, I hope, and I'm off for about 2 months.
All right. So you can go fishing.
That's right.
I'll get some good Guntersville info out of Trey here in a little while. So you've got the ABT
at Weiss
and this weekend.
Straight from the way in there and drive. I should be at Ross Barnett by about 11 or 12 that night.
Where is Ross Barnett?
It's in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. That's a southern or central?
Central. Sorry.
Central. Yep. Okay. So it's the very next weekend. So I mean, like you're fishing the ABA or ABT this weekend and practicing Sunday for the other one.
So yeah, I'm home I left Virginia. I went from Cherokee home for a day, straight to Virginia. Straight from Virginia, home for 2 days, straight to Weiss, then leave straight from Weiss. I don't even get to come home, go straight to Ross Barnett, and then I'm finally home for about a month and a half.
Month and a half. Sleep in your own bed.
Whew, Lord.
You tired?
I'm real tired.
You're getting a taste of what it could be like if if things go your way and you end up on the pro trail.
Lord.
Between that and all the speaking engagements that you'll have. Right. I mean, I'm assuming a lot of those guys do have a lot of places they have to be for things. So it's a good thing you like to talk.
That's right.
So, that ABA Top 150, it's a 2-day deal. I can't remember the entry fee, but it's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And you remember that MLF format deal that they had scheduled? They've changed it. The $850 entry fee was for one short day of fishing to where and then they've changed that, and I don't know if you probably hadn't talked to anybody about that. It was going to be like spread over a few days where you only had so many boats in a flight, and then they had a championship day. They have now changed it, and I don't have this in front of me. I'm going totally by memory. They're calling it a megabucks type thing, but now it's a $2,000 entry, but it's a 1-day derby on a Friday. About the second week of May.
Entry?
Yeah, but the payout on it was big, but it's if you'll go to Ross Barnett and win,
I might could afford the daggum entry fee.
I know. I'm afraid that realistically, that kind of money, you're going to have the Gerald Swindles and the Buddy Grosses, and most of those people can't afford that.
A lot of people. I mean, I think it's a good thing they're trying to pay out a lot of money, but for somebody like me, dadgum, $2,000. But I think you'll draw some boats just because there's a lot of money. But I do think if you didn't, that entry fee wasn't so steep, you get a whole lot more boats.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one a little more probably in a couple of weeks because we'll be getting a little closer to time. So, 22 pounds, you say?
Yep.
22,
22 and a quarter. 22. I say somebody catches a 7 or 8 pounder and 7 or 8 pounder. And a quarter. Yeah. The weather's looking right, and it's going to be unless the wind's blowing 20 miles an hour like it tends to do. So, that's right.
I hope that the ABT curse doesn't hold up for y'all. I hope you get to fish in flip flops and shorts this weekend because that means I'll get to fish in flip flops and shorts this weekend, and I'm ready for that. I wore my bibs Saturday. It got warm. 9 or 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I went down to just one layer, though, which is the first Saturday that I have not had to have on multiple layers for the entire day. So anyway, that's enough of our rambling. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Trey will have us some kind of new story. I'm sure we're going to hear a little bit more about the girlfriend.
Right.
And
I hope we don't run her off by then.
Well, there is that. So thanks for listening. If you enjoyed it, give us a like, a share, a review, comments, anything like that, and tell your friends. And until next time, enjoy the floating grass.